1.02, if everybody could stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Uh-oh, I've lost my pen. 1.03, adoption of the agenda. It is recommended that the agenda for May 12, 2021, regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees be adopted as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2, recognition. 2.01, School City of Mishawaka 2021 Teachers of the Year, Mr. Barker.
Thank you, President Parks. It's an exciting night tonight, and we have a few guests with us, so we're excited tonight to recognize our School City of Mishawaka Teachers of the Year. School City of Mishawaka continues to work the Mishawaka way, which has a primary theme of creating a culture of excellence. Tonight, we honor 2 of our very own valued employees that have worked diligently to collaborate with stakeholders in our community to help promote student success. School City follows the model adopted by the state of Indiana in recognizing an elementary and secondary teacher of the year. And last week, we were able to recognize Mrs. Robin Fuda as our third grade, who is a third grade teacher at Beeger Elementary, as our 2021 Elementary Teacher of the Year. And we recognized Mr. Caleb Chamberlain, our band director at John Young and Mishawaka High School, as our Secondary Teacher of the Year. Both teachers are highly involved in their respective schools, are admired by their peers for their dedication to the profession. So tonight we congratulate them. They will be in contention for the State of Indiana Teacher of the Year competition now, and they will also be recognized at the Celebration of Excellence next week, where they will receive their Teacher of the Year exemplars. So finally, tonight we have Mr. Curry here on behalf of the Lions Club for also a presentation with them, and then would also at the end of that, if they have any comments that they would like to make to the board, they are able to do so. So, Mr. Curry, thank you for being here on behalf of the Lions Club.
Well, good evening, Mr. Barker, Mrs. Parks, and members of the board. I'm Dick Curry. I reside at 2108 Linden Avenue here in Mishawaka, Indiana, and I'm here this evening on behalf of the Mishawaka Lions Club to help honor Robin Fuda and Caleb Chamberlain, the School City's primary and secondary teachers of the year. Ever since our club was founded in 1923, we've had the motto of our club and of all Lions Club is we serve. And during the last 98 years, we've served the Mishawaka community in many ways. But the most gratifying of those ways are when we're able to help support those who have also dedicated themselves to service. And this is especially true of your work, all of your work as educators, because no profession is more forward-focused or important to shaping the future. Every day you invest in that future, one student at a time. Ms. Fuda and Mr. Chamberlain, on behalf of the Mishawaka Lions Club and the greater Mishawaka community, thank you for sharing our mission of service by investing your time and talents in our children. And in order to support you in that work, it's my privilege to present each of you with a $500 stipend to support your important work in the classroom. So our thanks to you and to all educators, both in and out of the classroom, for your commitment and your service.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. Mr. Chamberlain, yes, if you would like to address the board and introduce anyone, if you have folks here with you.
Sure. Yes. I was pretty surprised when everyone stepped. You want me to turn this up a little bit? It looked like it was bugging you. I could tell. I was pretty surprised when everyone stepped into the band room last week to surprise me, and Mr. Barker asked my students if they'd ever seen me at a loss for words. It doesn't happen often, but now I have my notes, so we're good to go. Thank you to the mystery person who nominated me, whoever that might be. I don't know what school you came from, but I appreciate it. Thank you to the members of the committee that chose me for this special recognition. Took a chance when filling out the Teacher of the Year application by focusing on the we, us, more than the I, me. I had an opportunity to brag on myself, but all I wanted to write about was the students and the awesome things we do in our band program. I'm happy that the selection committee recognized that. I'm proud to represent our awesome fine arts programs here at School City. Many of you may know this, but I've got some pretty incredible teacher role models. My grandfather, Bruce, taught at MHS for 33 years. My mom, behind me back here, Kim, taught at Mary Phillips and Liberty for 35 years. And my father, Ed, taught at MHS for 28 years. All three were incredibly passionate about education in School City, Mishawaka. I'm finishing up year number 8, so I still have a while to go before I catch them. However, with the $1 million that Alex Newman, he said he's going to give me, considering retiring at the end of this year. I've been blessed to connect with Frank Troika and Dr. Tim Lotzenheiser, 2 national leaders of the band world. These gentlemen have been incredible mentors and opened my eyes to many new things. They've inspired me to push myself to a whole new level in my profession. Thank you, Frank and Tim. I'm happy with what we've accomplished so far at John Young and MHS, but I still got many plans and goals for our band program in the next couple of decades. Thanks again for the opportunity. Thanks, Lions Club. Thank you all.
Well, I definitely should have gone before Caleb, but anyway, congratulations, Caleb. And what an honor it is to be able to represent the School City of Mishawaka. Like Caleb, I thank whoever nominated me, and I thank the committee for choosing me to represent the corporation. Last Thursday, when the entourage walked in, my heart literally stopped, and for the rest of the entire day, I cried. And I cried, I guess, because memories came back flooding to me about all the kids who have made me who I am today. I have 2 wonderful parents, and they also shaped me into the educator that I am. But the kids, all the hundreds of kids who have touched my life throughout the years, those are what's really important. And so, again, thank you for letting me represent the corporation. Thank you, Lions Club. And with me, I have my wonderful husband, my oldest daughter, Caitlin. My younger daughter, Emily, was not able to attend. My beautiful granddaughter, Allison, my lovely little sister, Ann, and my sweet little birthday buddy, Carson. So thank you very much, and I look forward to representing you in the state.
Okay, that was fun. 2.02, Ed D. Award for, Doctor awarded for, I guess I'm not reading this, awarded for the Dr. Katie Stockstill, Mr. Barker. Sorry.
Thank you. Tonight, we're also happy to recognize one of our employees here, one of our senior leaders here at School City. Katie Stockstill, our Director of Teaching and Learning, earned her Doctor of Education degree from Indiana University Bloomington School of Education. Her doctorate degree is in Instructional Systems Technology with a minor in Educational Leadership. Instructional Systems Technology is the theory and practice of design, development, management, and evaluation of the processes and resources for learning. Basically, it focuses on ways to improve learning and performance for people of all ages in a wide range of settings. So this is a perfect degree for Dr. Stockstill and the work that she does here for us as our Director of Teaching and Learning. And we've always known what a valuable employee that Dr. Stockstill is. And this only enhances her gifts that she provides to the district. So congratulations, Dr. Stockstill. School City of Mishawaka is very proud of you. Thank you.
Oh, she's got little people with her. I just want to say, I think you can come up and say something, but it's incredible to be a mom and to go back to school and earn your master's and your doctorate and all of those fabulous titles. And so I'm impressed by your work ethic and how you always show up. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, President Parks, and thank you, Mr. Barker, and thank you for the board. Matt, and other Matt, can you cue the slide deck for me? I just want to show some results for my dissertation and look at some data sets. I really appreciate I promise it'll only take, I think, 5-10 minutes? Just joking. All jokes aside, our department is known for some long, very interesting presentations at at board meetings. Today, I'm joined with my son, AJ, and my daughter, Shay. You want to come up, Shay, or not? Okay. But I want to say thank you for this recognition and for your support. School City Mishawaka has been my home for the past 5 years, and every day it's my honor and privilege to serve our amazing staff and students. They're my why. They're why I'm here, and I'm just reminded of the amazing district we work in every day. I wasn't going to tear up, I promise, Shay. No crying. But I look forward to continuing to apply what I learned at Indiana University and my training to being better for all School City of Mishawaka staff and students, and continuing the great work that's going on here. Thank you.
I think we've had a great display of hard work here at Mishawaka in the last couple of folks that we've talked about. I graduated with Caleb, so that's my claim to fame right now. But Caleb came to mind yesterday because my son, who's 4 years old, sat down at the piano and started playing the piano and singing softly to himself. And it was terrible. I mean, it was awful. But I thought, how lucky is he that he's going to be going through the Mishawaka school system and he could work with Mr. Chamberlain. I remember watching Caleb play at pep rallies, and I was like, man, if I could play drums, that would be sweet. So I feel blessed that he will be able to work with Mr. Chamberlain. But I'm duly blessed, I guess, because my son will be going to Beeger, and he might be in Mrs. Feuda's class. Very proud of you, and the hard work that you do for our students every day. You know, you guys are in the trenches, and I know this year hasn't been easy, the last year and a half. Not that your job was ever easy to begin with, but thank you for your service. And to Dr. Stockstill, congratulations. That's an incredible accomplishment, and we are very proud of you.
Okay.
If any of our guests who've been recognized and your guests that are here with you would like to leave, that's fine as we go into the business portion of our meeting, but thanks for being here and congratulations again.
Okay, moving on. 3, comments and questions from the floor. Representatives of the PTA. Representatives of school employees. Amy Foley.
Good evening. Reflection is essential to the teaching process. After each lesson, teachers ask themselves what went well, what flopped, what could I have done better, which students am I most worried about. As we bring to a close what is arguably the most difficult year of our careers, a bit of reflection seems appropriate. I recall having a conversation with the administrator at about this time last year. I think it might have been you, Mr. Barker, as we were closing out remote learning and mourning the loss of milestones like class field trips, prom, graduation. Do you think we'll be able to start next year normally? Probably. Surely we'll have this under control by then. How little we knew. How few of us anticipated how difficult the year ahead would be. I make no claim that our challenges and sacrifices were any greater than those of other professions or people. To do so would be both naive and self-centered. But it has been nonetheless an exhausting year. Teachers generally tend to be forgiving and understanding with their students, but overly critical of themselves. As we look back at the 2020-21 school year, I fear that teachers will focus on the failures and the missed opportunities rather than the victories. They will remember the students who never seemed fully engaged, or those who would make great strides only to be quarantined and fall behind again. Those whose home situations became precarious in the face of unemployment and food insecurity. The students who dropped out, fell behind, or almost graduation this year. We know that what happened in our classrooms this year was just a shadow of what we had hoped it would be, and we mourn for that. We also mourn for those whom we've lost, parents, grandparents, siblings, our student, Carter, our colleague and friend, Greg. The pain at times seems unbearable. But I ask my colleagues to also remember our victories. Remember that frightened child who found a safe and supportive place in your classroom, be it brick and mortar or a Google Meet. Remember how creative you were in restyling your lessons for shorter time frames, social distancing, and virtual participants. Remember that student you really connected with this year. Remember the joy in your students' eyes when they walked into your classroom for the first time. Remember all the things that you learned this year. You learned how to enunciate and project with a mask on. You learned how to smile with your eyes and how to hug without your arms. You learned how to incorporate sanitation stations and cleaning breaks into your classroom routine. You learned so much new technology. Congratulate yourselves for modeling to your students what it looks like to be a lifelong learner. Celebrate every single victory or aha moment you had this year, no matter how small. Members of the school board, Mr. Barker, Mrs. Hickle, Mr. Caldroni, Mr. Newman, and all other members of administration, I thank you for your support this year. By no means did we agree on every item we discussed, and by no means is our work finished. However, we have remained collaborative partners through thick and thin this year, keeping the lines of communication open and troubleshooting every obstacle we encountered. Within the MEA, we often had conflicting views about the best way forward, and I know that the board and the administration experienced similar circumstances a number of times. But through it all, we remained united, and we were willing to give each other the professional benefit of doubt for good intentions, even if we didn't agree on practice or procedure. We close out this year with several positives. The promise of an extra monetary bonus that administration offered before MEA could even form the words to ask. A celebration at the zoo that many of us, including me, are absurdly excited about. And most importantly, the hope of better times ahead. We're exhausted, we're drained, and we feel as though we're crawling towards the finish line. But finish we will, and we will finish strong. I have a small plaque on my desk that I purchased this year. When we were all virtual, I had it facing me so that I could see it during all of my Google Meets. When students returned to my classroom, I turned it outward for them to see. The plaque has a quote from Vivian Green. It says, "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain." The storm that has been this pandemic has produced enough tears to create a downpour. But for the sake of our students, for the sake of your children, Mishawaka, your teachers have learned to dance in the rain. I am indescribably proud of them for that, and I hope that you are as well. Thank you.
How do you even respond?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to respond to that, because that it goes to show everything about your character and the character of our staff. Because even though it has been a challenge, and especially in your position, because you're in the middle, right? And so it's one of those things that you've taken the negative and tried to make the positives, and you've, in compassion and respect and honesty, and every time, Amy, you rise to the occasion. And so I am always impressed by you, and then you give speeches that literally could address the world. And I'm so proud that you work for School City of Mishawaka. So thank you.
What's even more impressive is that she's a calculus teacher. She is not an English teacher.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to say that, Amy, you're always honest. Your words are always honest and heartfelt, and emotionally said, and it just hits me to the core every time that you come up and have expressed your feelings and what the teachers and your colleagues that you work for are feeling. So thank you for being who you are. And again, I want to, as Holly said, thank you for working for our school corporation.
Okay. 3.03, representatives of Mishawaka Education Foundation. Meg.
Well, we're done with the eloquent speeches now. Please bear with me. This note is from our fearless leader, President Parks, board members, and Mr. Barker. Thank you for allowing me to speak as a member of the Mishawaka Education Foundation tonight. First, we're so happy to share that the MEF Major Saver Campaign earned $18,400 this year. It's just amazing, incredible. I think it shows that everybody is ready to give, even though it's been a terrible year. They're really ready to support and get back into that groove. So we're happy about that. Thank you very much for your support and your participation in the campaign. Second, please get out your phones and mark your calendar for the Made in Mishawaka Luncheon, which will be in person on Wednesday, June 9th at the Mishawaka Holiday Inn. And it will be honoring all of the board members and all of the staff members of SCM. And just about providing amazing instruction and care for our students during this past year. Please plan on attending with us. Last of all, the MEF 2021 50/50 raffle will kick off at the luncheon with the drawing at the Growing the Future dinner in October. Buy a $10 ticket and win up to $25,000. So it's pretty exciting times, and the MEF is just flourishing as we come out of the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. 4, consent agenda. It is recommended that the minutes of the April 21st, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees be approved as presented. 4.02, approval of bill warrants and payroll. It is recommended that the bill warrants and payroll in the amount of $4,620,619.75 be approved from the payment from the appropriate funds. 4.03, acceptance of donations. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees accept the donations as listed and documented. Always appreciated. 4.04, approval of the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5, vision initiatives. 5.01, roadmap to recovery plan, update number 3, Ms. Hickle.
Thank you, President Parks, members of the board. As you know, this time on the agenda allows us to look ahead to the future and share with you our plans. As the year is winding down, we are also gearing up and excited to look to next year for what recovery looks like. We have 3 updates that we'd like to share with you tonight. The first one, we have made it a priority over the past 15 months to not only care for our students' academic needs, but also to provide additional support, effort, and resources to help meet our students' many non-academic needs and the needs of their families, whether that need was caused by food insecurity, trauma, job loss, etc. Our staff has been dedicated to meeting our students' social emotional needs during the pandemic, going above and beyond in countless ways. We know that SCM families' needs for social emotional support will not end as the academic year winds up. So we are excited tonight to share with you our plan to ensure that families have that continual support throughout the summer. Through stimulus funding, we will be able to offer a continuation of services over the summer. This will be provided by offering a hotline for families to call into, which will be staffed by our social workers, and they will have on-call availability so that if students or families are in crisis, they still have that resource. We think this is really important of a continuation of services for our families. The second update. We're committed to providing with the first one, I've included for you at your tables the flyer that'll go home to families announcing this service, and then we'll continue to advertise and market that number so that families know how to reach us, and it'll be available on our website. So with the second update then, we are committed to providing quality learning for all of our students, and we strongly believe that in order to deliver on this promise, we need to continue to refine and improve on our Title I services, as well as offering extended services to our non-Title I buildings and additional supports to title programming. As many of you may be aware, for a long time, because we use title money to fund our intervention teachers and our social workers, we have not been able to have these resources at our two non-title buildings. And this has been a struggle for us as we've started to see an increase in students' needs at those two buildings. We've long been looking for solutions to this problem, and we are happy to say that we have a solution that we're sharing with you tonight. The Title I restrictions do not allow us to offer services at buildings that don't receive title services unless our buildings have additional supports that are title buildings. And so that is what we are proposing here tonight. This can be accomplished through the proposed addition of two district-wide positions, both a district-wide intervention teacher, which will be able to serve at all 7 buildings, and a district-wide social worker position. Because they will be serving in all 7 buildings, they will be able to provide services at Hums and Twin Branch, as well as the title buildings. A district-wide intervention teacher and social worker will provide and supervise district intensive interventions with students, district-wide, including Hums and Twin Branch elementary students. These positions will also assist in developing a systematic district-wide approach to MTSS, which we have shared many times. Plans for the I also have included the job description, for you for those 2 updates. And then the final one is our plans for the 2021-22 school year will include full return to in-person learning for all of our pre-K to 8th grade students. In addition to in-person learning in grades 9 to 12, Mishawaka High School will also offer a virtual learning academy. We will continue to bring you updates as we continue to plan for next year, and we look forward to that. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
As she finishes, I shared with Ms. Hickle sometime, even like around 5 p.m. tonight before our board meeting. Just today, I read an article about how school districts should be using their stimulus monies. And it was geared at learning loss and what's best for students, providing more robust opportunities for summer learning, more robust opportunities during the school year, and adding of staff. And I'm proud of the plan that our team has been working on and putting together because, quite honestly, it mirrored this article as to in terms of what our team has put together and parts of what you saw in the last 2 board meetings and then what you're seeing tonight. And we are excited about how we will better be able to serve students and families in our school community with these potential offerings that are here for you tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend that you approve that Roadmap to Recovery Plan Update 3 as presented. And then again, obviously after any motions, we'll take any questions or comments regarding that. But thank you, and thanks to our senior leadership team, our principals, and everyone who's working so hard to put together this plan for how we intend to spend these stimulus funds.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved or motioned and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I did want to say, from the very beginning of the COVID pandemic, I have continuously brought up concerns about mental health and making sure that we stay in front of that. And at first it was pretty selfish because I'm an extrovert and I gain comfort from being around people, and the pandemic coupled with my personal situation of being a new mom, I didn't see people, and so I was going nuts. But when I see that our administration is working on mental health and MTSS for the entire corporation, it really makes me feel like we're on the right path, because this pandemic has brought to light the things that we aren't so proud of, those mental issues that have such a stigma attached to them that it's been difficult to implement change in the past. It's become more of the norm. It's easier to talk about, and it's easier to make action happen. So I appreciate the efforts on this front.
Any other comments? Okay. 5.02, planning for preferred future of education excellence, educational excellence. Dr. Barker, Dr. Spiker, Dr. Staley.
Tonight, we are introducing a 2-year plan to engage our community and staff to explore the possibilities of what will be needed to continue to provide excellent educational opportunities for our school community when our current operating referendum expires. We intend to be very transparent as we solicit and share information throughout this process. We have developed a comprehensive plan to engage our community and staff over these next 2 years to learn how we can best maintain and continue to improve School City of Mishawaka. So I'm excited tonight for you to see some familiar faces. Dr. Spiker and Dr. Staley are here to present that plan of what we intend to work through over the next 2 years prior to that next operating referendum. So turn it over to Dr. Spiker.
Thank you, Mr. Barker, members of the board. This feels familiar, and not from this position, but this room. The first question that you as a board will be asked is, how much money is the 2023 referendum targeted to generate? The answer, hopefully, that you will give is we do not know at this time. The second question that you'll be asked is, how much more will it cost us for school taxes in the city of Mishawaka? And again, I hope your answer will be, we do not know at this time. However, whatever the answer is, we will be honest, we will be transparent in providing the community the best information possible when it is available. The reason that neither one of these answers are answerable tonight is that the school board and administration have a plan, which is before you, and a series of processes that will lead the community to the much desired information and answers to the previous two questions. So the plan that you have before you tonight has 5 segments, and each one of the segments have timelines that have been established, and those are timelines that obviously have to be flexible. This discussion has been going on for 6 months or longer. Mrs. Parks and Mr. Pemberton and Woody Emmons and Mr. Barker and myself, Mr. Newman, have been involved in these discussions to begin to talk about timing and how we would put this plan together. Segment 1 is basically the process of staff engagement. This is where the staff will be engaged in terms of beginning to form what this referendum might look like, whether it be for the operating levy, which is one question that's available to the school corporation by law. Those of you who were around, and I'm sure all of you are aware that in 2016, we had an operating levy that was passed, 70% for, 30% against, and the school system has been generating revenue someplace in the neighborhood, and I'm going to give round numbers, someplace between $1.7 and $2 million a year that go into specific commitments that were made through that referendum process, whether it be for teacher salaries or employee salaries, whether it be for additional staff, whether it be for technology, we were really heavy at that point in time into technology in terms of funding it. The other piece of all this, the other option that the school corporation will have is a facilities referendum. And you may recall that we had a high priority facilities committee back in 2016 that worked, and ultimately the community collaborating committee, which is segment 2 and is what Dr. Staley is going to be talking about. The community collaborating committee brought a recommendation to the board that they recommended that we spend $14 million on facility improvements. After the board considered the recommendation and everything else, the board set it at $13 million. And that's what we went after. And again, it was passed 70% for and 30% against in 2016. So the process, the staff process, is the first step in beginning to put the meat on the bones of an operating levy, and it's also the first step in putting the meat on the bones of what a facilities referendum question might look like and what it would contain. But going beyond just the referendum, this is also a process for senior leadership, building leadership, teacher leadership, and for the board to be able to establish some vision initiatives for the future beyond just the referendum and or separate from the referendum. And so that's what this list of items that are listed on page 1 are, just suggestions of items to be considered, to be looked at, to decide what you might want to incorporate in what venue and what items don't make sense for the school system. The second segment then is the community engagement segment, and Dr. Staley is going to talk about the community engagement piece.
Yes, in terms of, thank you, it's good to be back here. In terms of this second section, it was interesting as I look back from our notes from previously when we talked about community collaborating committee. And I'll read to you the goal, and I would say this goal still applies today. In other words, our goal is to promote ideas and efforts to create the highest quality, sustainable learning environment and culture for students and teachers in Mishawaka schools while creating a culture of trust in the Mishawaka community. I think that that is exactly the same goal that we have today with this community collaborating committee, and you can see the notes in terms of what we intend to look at and how we're going to proceed on that.
So we have the staff engagement. Can't get used to the mask. And we also then have the community collaborating committee or the community engagement. And the third segment is related to planning for success. And this gets into the financing piece, of which Mr. Newman has been very actively engaged in since he has been here. And we have good data at this point in time in terms of what the possibilities are in 2022, 2023, 2024, and all of that information will be available to the community collaborating committee, as well as obviously to the school board as we go through the process. But one of the things that at a given point in time, whenever, you may recall this from 2016, whenever the school board adopts the official language that we get from the attorneys that we work with in terms of the language, when that language is adopted at that point in time, you no longer can use school corporation money to be expended for promoting the referendum to the community at that point in time. So one of the things that we did the last time is we developed a political action committee. And the political action committee, the name of it was our children, our future. And we're proposing that this same political action committee be used at the appropriate time. I think in my last discussion with Mike Watiziak, we have something around $8,000 left in the political action committee from back then. Mr. Pemberton, you may remember, I think we raised something like $60,000 total for the political action committee at that point in time. And again, that'll be an effort that we'll work on at the appropriate time. I do have some good news, and the good news is that Mr. Pemberton and Mr. Woody Emmons and Mr. Mike Watiziak and or Colin, he also has volunteered his son from time to time, and Holly have agreed to be very active and have obviously, as Holly said in our most recent meeting, I'm sure that if there are other board members who want to step up and get involved in an active way in terms of all the work that will need to be done, we would welcome that, because the more hands that we have, the better chance we have of being successful. So the other piece of this is that it's going to be important for us to do polling. I think one of the reasons that we were so targeted back in 2016 was the fact that we had good data. In other words, we knew fairly early in the process what kind of community support we had. And what was very interesting is that in the polling that we had and the results of the actual votes, Holly, you may remember the numbers, but I think they were within 10 percentage points. I think, we were in between 60 and 63% on both questions in our polling, and we ended up getting 70% in terms of actual votes. So that's important data to have in terms of being able to do your messaging so that you can, direct your messaging. And again, we would recommend using Big Idea Company, Melinda and Lou Pierce, who were exceedingly helpful to us in terms of the videos, the messaging, the collaterals, working with Jen Smith, and, really helped us a great deal. The other segment 4 is when the rubber hits the road. That's on May 2nd, 2023. That's when we have to deliver the votes. And again, we do a second polling in February before May to again reinforce that our numbers haven't changed a great deal and that the community still is supporting the initiatives once they know what the initiatives are at that particular point in time. Also, that's when we begin to do the door-to-door canvassing. One of the things that is part of the Community Collaborating Committee is the town hall meetings. I think the last time there were something like 25 town hall meetings that took place as part of the Community Collaborating Committee. And the Community Collaborating Committee is typically made up of about 10 or 12 people. And the Community Collaborating Committee basically brings recommendations to the superintendent, to the board. The process that we used the last time. The vote is on May 2, and then segment 5 is basically following up, thanking people, and hopefully being able to continue on supporting education for the youth and the children of the school city of Mishawaka in a very fine fashion like you have done the past number of years. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and so would Dr. Staley.
Any questions? Comment?
I just appreciate, as Mr. Barker and you said earlier, that we need to be transparent from the get-go, so our constituents know what is coming ahead.
It's going to take every bit of the next year and a half because it will be a lot of communications to everyone and there'll be a lot of meetings and the community has always been welcome to attend all of those meetings. So getting people to the meetings to hear the message is primarily the most important part of it all. So, and we will be 100% once we have all the data collected of what needs to happen and what that dollar amount looks like. So we will be 100% transparent to our corporation and to our community, so.
I think it was in January or February when Dr. Spiker and I first began working on the plan that he and Dr. Staley presented. I think we met in January or February of 2020 to actually start on the plan, and the goal was to try to introduce it in May of 21 so that we would show a good faith, transparent gesture really of saying we're still nearly almost 2 years away from the time of an actual vote. But we want to get it out in front of the public so that they know and they see our plan and they'll certainly participate throughout that plan. And while tonight is that's really a working document that will certainly change, just as a way even of showing that transparency, we would ask that you approve planning for a preferred future of educational excellence as presented tonight by Dr. Staley and Dr. Spiker.
I move for approval.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 6, nothing under reports and discussion items. 7, human resources. 7.01, personnel report. Mr. Calderoni.
Thank you, President Parks, Superintendent Barker, and board members. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the personnel report dated May 12, 2021, as presented.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 7.02, summer office hours. Mr. Calderoni.
Yeah, as we're getting close to that time period, we just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that these hours are set, although there will be people working before and after these hours, but these are going to be our office hours in our buildings throughout the summer. Administration Center 8 to 4, Mishawaka High School 7:30 to 3:30, John Young Middle School 7:30 to 3:30, and our elementary schools will be open from 8 to 4. But just keep in mind, those offices will be closed from June 5th to July 27th this summer. So just kind of want to make sure everybody's aware of that as well.
Thank you. 7.03, recommendation to extend allowable timeline for the 2020-2021 administrative vacation days. Mr. Calderoni.
Yeah, this is the same recommendation that we brought to you this past June. That we're bringing here at the same time this evening. So, but it talks about the administrative pay group receives so many vacation days at the start of July every year. Those days are available for use through the end of June of the following year. Additionally, administrators are allowed to carry a total of 5 additional days into the next year, should they go unused. Due to the issues, and this is why we brought this to you last June as well, due to the issues caused by COVID-19, the majority of administrators have excess days they will not be able to use by the end of June. In an effort to be fair and avoid excessive vacation requests in June, senior leadership would like to extend the timeline for using these vacation days through the end of December 31st, 2021.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
8, curriculum instruction and technology, nothing. 9, business and operations, recommendation to approve employee stipend resolution 2021-009. Mr. Newman.
Thank you, President Parks and members of the board. This evening, the administration is seeking approval of a resolution in order to facilitate the payment of stipends to School City of Mishawaka employees. School City of Mishawaka is receiving approximately $4.5 million in federal stimulus dollars as part of the second distribution of elementary and secondary emergency relief funds. This money can be spent on a number of things, including pandemic-related human resource needs. The administration is proposing stipend payments to all SCM employees in connection with extra duties associated with the pandemic. With the exception of retirees, employees would need to remain employed with SCM through September 10th of 2021 to qualify for the stipend. Year-round 12-month employees would receive a $1,000 stipend. School year salaried employees would also receive the same $1,000 stipend. School year hourly employees would receive a stipend of $750. If approved, qualifying employees would receive their respective stipend on the September 17th payroll date.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. 9.02, recommendation to approve agreement with Amber Marge Consultants, Mr. Newman.
Thank you, President Parks. As part of our stimulus funding, the school corporation would like to explore two projects at Mishawaka High School. The first being Mishawaka High School band room soundproofing. Just a little bit of background. Due to the noise created within the band room, past practice has involved scheduling classes at the high school in a way that avoids classes taking place above and around the band room at the same time. The administration would like to explore a way to reduce this noise, which would allow for greater flexibility in scheduling at Mishawaka High School. The second project involves the Mishawaka East Gym, and this would be the removal of the sound panel that sits above the gymnasium floor. It's a potential air quality issue as their material includes some form of asbestos. As the sound panel has aged, it has also become an eyesore that takes away from the otherwise beautiful gymnasium. At some point, this panel will need to be removed, and we believe that this could be a great use of stimulus funds that we have available to us at this time. In order to move forward with exploring those projects, the administration is seeking approval of an agreement with Abinmarsh. The scope of the agreement includes evaluating the current conditions, developing our options for improvement, and if we wish to move forward, then the preparation of construction documents, facilitating the bid process, in addition to any construction management as needed by the administration. The total fee for these services is estimated at $36,500.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I think Caleb would want that changed too, due to the music created in the band room.
Would we be replacing the sound?
In the East Gym?
In the East Gym?
Yes, so yes, if we take what's there, take down what's there now, there would need to be some sort of acoustic element that would go back up, yes.
Okay, got it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. 9.03, declaration of obsolete property, Mr. Newman.
Thank you, President Parks. This is an annual agenda item prepared by the Technology Department. School City of Mishawaka owns outdated or broken technology equipment that is no longer operable or repairable, and the attached report covers items that were recycled during the period of November 5th, 2020 through May 6th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. 9.04, purchase of 500 HP 11 Chromebooks with license and service plan and 80 HP 650 gigabyte computers, Mr. Modlin.
Good evening. Computers for the administrative staff use were purchased before 2016 are due to be refreshed through a regular replacement cycle. The HP G8 Chromebook will refresh aging Chromebooks to better support video conferencing for students. CDW was selected for both purchases as the lowest, most responsive bidder for the devices. In cases where the bid selected was not the lowest, the selection was based upon stock on hand. CARES 2.0 funds will be used to support this purchase. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the purchase of the technology devices as presented for $291,776.36.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
10, policy updates. First reading of policy volume 31, number 1, October 2018. Ms. Pettit.
Good evening, everyone. These policies, it came to my attention while I was working on the last packet of policies, that there were some policies that had gone unprocessed and not approved back from October 2018, and that's why I'm presenting them to you tonight. So if they seem like they're a little old, we are already doing everything that was put into law here at School City of Mishawaka. But now we are formally looking for approval for these policies. For leaves of absence, policies 1430, 3430, and 4430, these policies have been revised to include section headings for clarity, address outdated language, and revised Indiana Code citations. We do not currently have these policies, and we do recommend adopting them. Policy 2462 is one of those policies that I know we have been doing since it became law, and that's dyslexia screening and intervention. This policy is designed to address a new article added to the Indiana Code, which requires school corporations to begin screening certain students for dyslexia and providing intervention for those students whose screening indicates that they have characteristics of dyslexia. Policy 2700, Annual Performance Report, revised. This policy has been revised to incorporate statutory amendments made to include students in foster care as a specific class of students in the Annual Performance Report. Policy 3139, staff discipline revision. In order to clarify that administrative leave with pay is not a disciplinary action, this example has been omitted from the listing of various forms of staff discipline in the policy. This will assist the corporation in maintaining the privacy of staff during administrative investigations where no discipline results. Policy 3141, suspension of teachers without pay, revised. This policy has been revised to distinguish between suspension without pay, which may be a disciplinary action, and administrative leave of absence with pay, which is not. 3431, administrative leave of absence with pay or temporary administrative reassignment of teachers, a new policy. It has been created to address the use of administrative leave of absence with pay or temporary reassignment of teachers, which may be done pending investigations. Policy 5112, entrance requirements, revised. Quite frankly, the information in the handout I gave you, I couldn't wrap my brain around it. So I'm going to tell you in my words what we did with this policy. And that's, it was just changing the date that we at School City of Mishawaka accept students into kindergarten during the year. They turn 5 if it's before or on October 1st. So that is the only main change in that policy. Okay? Policy 5350, student suicide awareness and prevention, revised. This policy has been revised in response to SEA 1230, which addressed the youth suicide and prevention training required for staff. Certain criteria for the selected training program have been changed, and the organization recommending the program now must be the Indiana Suicide Prevention Network Advisory Council. Policy 5771, search and seizure, and Policy 7440 go hand in hand. The policies have been revised to address the use of metal detectors, both walk-through and handheld, as part of the corporation's policy on facility security. Policy 8340, letter of reference or employment reference, revised. It prohibits assisting an employee from getting a new job if the employer believes the employee engaged in sexual conduct with a minor. This policy has been revised to incorporate that prohibition. 9160, public attendance at school events, revised. At the recommendation of attorneys with the Indiana School Board Association, the policy has been revised to provide due process with respect to a prohibition on attendance at school events by disruptive patrons, including a procedure for appeal to the board. And policy 6655, school technology funds, is being deleted. It is no longer needed. And below, you can also see that we have some policies that we have chosen not to adopt because they do not pertain to anything that we need. Any questions? Thank you, board.
Thank you. All right, 11, communications. 1.01, public announcements. The 5th annual Celebration of Excellence to honor all SEM employees will take place on May 20th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Potawatomi Zoo. The last day of school for all School City of Mishawaka students is May 25th, 2021. The 144th 5th annual Mishawaka High School commencement will be held Friday, May 28, 2021 at 6 p.m. The next regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees will be held on May 26, 2021 at 6 p.m. at the Administration Center, 1402 South Main Street, Mishawaka, 544. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.